A very good evening to you and welcome to ANC Decides, the show that brings you the ANC leadership race as it happens. And I'm your host, Audrey Chimwanda. Now let's take a look at what's making headlines. The leadership slates are taking shape as the ANC National Conference draws nearer. Female representation on each slate is high on the agenda. ANC branches speak out on the way forward from the National Policy Conference. The spotlight is now on policies as members want to see which ones they'll adopt. Grassroots members make their voices heard on the gender debate within the ANC. Is the ANC ready to make the groundbreaking decision? Now, one of the most closely watched subjects about the next ANC leader will undoubtedly be the gender. Let's take a look at how the debate has developed so far.
Is the ANC ready to elect the first female president in 105 years? That's the big question facing the oldest liberation movement in Africa as it heads to its 54th conference.
Female comrades should always be availing themselves when they are being nominated by structure. So it's not a really matter that we should really be cracking our skulls about it, but we must not disadvantage comrades. We must not actually discriminate comrades on the basis of gender, a male versus a female. We must look at the capacity and capability of our comrades that we would want to see ascending to the highest office.
Some female leaders of the ANC have naturally voiced their support for a change of guard and leadership, even foregoing their own personal ambitions in the leadership race.
It is a must too that we consider a female candidate, whether it is Comrade Nkosazana, whether it is Comrade Balega or anybody. I think it is time now that a woman takes over.
Other female contenders in hotly contested ANC race are going a step further, marking the 2017 conference as the turning point for the 105-year-old liberation movement.
I trust the ANC, and indeed it is time. After 105 years, and when we went to our centenary conference, we had 12 leaders, including our current president. They were all very good presidents, but they were all male. And it's the ANC that has taught society about non-sexism. It's time for us to let women also show that there's nothing they can't do.
In the end, one of the frontrunners says women are capable to address the country's economic problems, and a call for them to take over the reins cannot be seen as factional.
When we say poverty in this country is black and female, we know. So I'm just saying who we are as women. And therefore, there can be no situation where we as women can be factional, because we produce all of you. You are our children, all of you.
The debate over the ANC's readiness to elect the first female president has been raging on for years. It is now up to the ANC conference delegates to settle it once and for all. Bureau Report, AN7.
So now here are the results to the poll question which we have been asking different branch members across the country. Is the ANC ready to elect the first female president in 105 years? Let's take a look in Mpumalanga. 20% say yes and an overwhelming 80% say no. Taking a look now in the Eastern Cape, 31% say yes and 69% say no. In the Free State, 75% say yes and 25% are just not ready. And in total, 50% say yes and 50% say no. Of course, that's the average result of the poll survey. Also, just to make it very clear that this is not a scientific poll, these are just results that we got from our reporters who are stationed across the country at the different ANC branches, who went to the various members and asked them what their opinion was. Well, now let's cross over live to one of our reporters, Giovanni Machane. She's coming to us live from the Free State to find out where the ordinary branch members stand with regards to the upcoming elective conference. Giovanni, very good evening to you. Lemogang, rather. Thank you for joining us. Tell us the developments from yesterday when we spoke to you. What are the reactions coming from the branch members? Lemogang, I do hope that you can hear me.
A very good afternoon to you, Audrey. Just a technical issue there on my side. This afternoon, we are coming live to you, from an area called Mbalenhle in Secunda, just outside Secunda in the Gauteng region. And behind me, I have branch members of Esilongweni branch that are going to be making their inputs, heading into that elective conference. And I want to introduce a few of them behind me. I have Mr. Kehla Mahlangu. Ntate Kehla, tell me just what is the mood like going into the elective conference, and do you think the ANC 105 years later are ready for a woman president to lead them?
Yes, I think if we can lead by Nkosazana Zuma, she led a AU organization and now she's ready to lead the country. She's capable.
And I think also it would be fitting to have a woman also who is here. Spesihle, thank you so much for joining us. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you think the ANC is ready 105 years later for a woman president to lead them?
100% ready, because Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma shows dedication and hard work. I remember the time when she was a Minister of Home Affairs. She played a really big role there. So I'm ready for her to lead the country.
Well, Audrey, those are some of the views of the branch members here in Esilongweni branch, just giving you an idea of what the mood is like, and the fact that they are actually deliberating on the kind of candidates that they want, and also the kind of people that they think will be able to lead the ANC, being it female or male. And also, I just want to bring in a gentleman here, someone who is who's an adult in this area and also has been in politics for quite some time. Ntate, thank you so much for joining us. What are your views? Woman president in the ANC?
Yeah, president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa. There's no Nkosazana Zuma. Mandela kungena Thabo Mbeki sekela Jacob Zuma, manje sekela Jacob Zuma, Cyril Ramaphosa, right? Cyril Ramaphosa. Yeah, let's put it still.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Audrey. I'm going to have to cross back to you in studio.
Lemogang, thank you so much for getting back to us with that update. Very interesting results that we're getting from different branches there from our reporter, others for a female president, others that are quite very adamant that, we're just simply not ready for a female president when it comes to the ANC. Now, Giovanni, I understand, is ready for us. Let's cross live to her now and see what the branch members from that area have to say and what the latest details there are. Giovanni, thank you for joining us. Now, just coming to you at this time, can you just give us an update with regards to the different reactions that we're getting from the different ANC branch members with regards to whether or not they're ready for a female president?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers. We've heard from the leadership, being the PEC of the Free State, that they are backing Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. But definitely so, on the grounds, there are dibs and dabs that are a bit different. We do know coming out of the National Policy Conference, the SG Gwede Mantashe asked for a robust debate, discussions for persuasion. So definitely so, that will be what will be happening towards December, the elective conference here in the Free State. But just to tell us a bit more about where they stand or where they feel the direction is going to, we will be speaking to Tshediso Mgwedi. Thank you so much for joining us. We've heard from a number of branch members saying that they think South Africa is ready for a female president. Although others say that it's not about the gender, but about the capability of the cadre going forward to move on the mandate of the ANC.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think the ANC in Mangaung region have distributed the schedule in terms of nomination processes and how the nomination processes should unfold. And I think the branches will soon be in the position to go to the BGMs and make nominations in terms of who should be the leader of the ANC. But of course, the guiding principle in terms of who should be the leader of the ANC, it should be somebody who would unite the ANC and a candidate or a leadership that will bring about radical socio-economic transformation in South Africa.
We know that the ANC has had a number of female leaders, such as Sophia de Bruyn, Frances Baard, and even Mamwini Madikizela Mandela. Do you think now, running the presidential race, the females that are in this category can lead, and who do you think is the right one?
The view of the ANC in Mangaung is that we are a non-racial and non-sexist organization. Therefore, the region or the leadership of the region is not against the leadership of women in general. But of course, any woman who have been trained within the ranks of the ANC, who have shown discipline, is equally capable to lead the ANC at any given moment. So it's not an issue of whether we are anti-women or not. I think the principle of the ANC of non-sexism, it guides us that we must be inclusive in terms of the leadership of the ANC, in particular if the person is capable of leading the organization moving forward.
Thank you so much. So on the ground, we've heard that leadership, obviously delivering what the people call for. Definitely this radical economic transformation is what they're looking for the next president to be able to implement in this other struggle that we are going through as a country, as well as the ANC saying that they are moving towards this economic freedom. So that is what we are having from the ground in the Free State, and we will continue to obviously give you the feedback of what the people on the ground, the branch members, the deciding members of this presidential race will bring to you.
Giovanni, will have to leave it there and of course leave you to it. We know that the job that you have is not stopping now, quite a bit there. Of course, getting reactions from this Free State. Mangaung branch members saying, look, we are going by merit. We're not against a female president with the ANC, but it's also very important that we have the right leader. As we continue to engage with our reporters once again that are stationed across the nation, Nomusa Pungula now is joining us from one of the provinces, and I will cross live to her now and see what she has for us. Nomusa, thank you for joining us. A very good evening to you. Tell us, what is the latest update coming from there? What are the different reactions? What are the sentiments coming from the branch members with regards to, obviously, whether or not they're ready for a female presidency within the ANC?
Good evening, Audrey, and good evening to our viewers. We are in Port Elizabeth, the hub of political leaders, the breed of all the well-known political leaders in our country. But of course, there are different views when it comes who should take over the reins after President Jacob Zuma come December conference. Speaking to some members of branches earlier on, they mentioned that at the end of the day, it's not about gender, it is about who is capable to lead the organization, because no politics can feed the nation. It is politics that should complement service delivery, as well as service delivery should complement politics, not only politics that are being put forth by the people who are saying that it's either female or male president. At the end of the day, it has been 105 years down the line, but no female has been seen to lead the organization. But however, it is important to mention that since the ANC is a non-sexist organization, members are continuing and are adamant that they need someone who can deliver, someone who has the qualities of a great leader, someone that can be able to unite the organization, whether they are male or female. But however, to elaborate more on that view, Audrey, I am joined by the secretary of this region, which is the Nelson Mandela Bay region, Themba. Can you kindly share with us what are your views on the female-male president come December conference?
As we were saying initially, that we are a non-sexist organization, and as such we are an organization that seeks to empower women, obviously because of the past imbalances. We are of the view then that as a region that it is high time then that we must look on capabilities of an individual that can make change and probably take the ANC forward with its own challenges. So that's our view in the metro, and more than anything else again is that if there's any woman who is capable within our structures, let that woman be elected. If there's any female or male comrade who is capable with the challenges that the ANC is facing. Let that male comrade lead the ANC. But we can't then falter our agenda of empowering the women folk within the movement.
Now, I understand that the province as a whole has not taken a stand as to who exactly are they going to back come December conference. Now, as the region now, have you perhaps started the talks? When can we expect a stand from the region as to where do you stand with regards to your candidate or your preferred candidates for the whole top six and the rest of the NEC?
No, there are very diverse views on the matter as a practice in the ANC. We will wait for the Regional General Council wherein the branch will make a pronouncement on the matter. So I'm saying the ANC is open up. There are a lot of candidates moving around, ANCDecides, Nkosazana Zuma, Lindiwe Sisulu, Baleka Mbete, to mention them. But the final arbiter on the matter will be the branches of the ANC.
Well, thank you so much, Temba. That was the Secretary of the region, Nelson Mandela Bay, just elaborating that indeed it is not about a gender or it is not about female or male. It is about the capability and someone who is able to deliver for the people of South Africa. We await to see who the second largest province will be backing come December conference. It's back to you in studio, Audrey.
Oh, absolutely. Good of you to join us, Nomo. So, of course, a huge thank you to your guest there. We'll have to leave it now as we come back into studio, having spoken to three of our reporters that are stationed in Port Elizabeth, the Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga. And if you have been wondering who these two ladies that I have in studio are, we have political analysts to try and help us just have some insight with regards to the results that we got from the poll survey, whether the ANC is ready for a female president or not. To my immediate right, we have Papano Pasha. She is a political analyst. Kim Heller, she's also a political analyst. Ladies, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Are you surprised at all with the results that we got from our poll survey? It appears the ANC is split down in the middle with regards to whether or not they're ready for a female president. Of course, there's the different results from the different provinces that tell a different story with regards to how they feel. But just looking at the overall picture, Papana, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm not really surprised because when you look at, or if you might want to dissect the results, it might be that the people who were questioned had different intentions. But now, if you look at the ANC itself and the involvement and the development of women, women have played a fundamental role in the development of the ANC. However, what we can agree upon is that there's never been a woman president. So there's not been a president. So it will not be a surprise that branch members who, by the way, will also replicate what the country might think, have not had an opportunity to actually reflect if whether a woman can lead or not. But women have led for the past 105 years. In fact, with the formation of the ANC, women have also been in the forefront. So it's not surprising, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, so I'm quite offended, really, to say, is that even a fair question to start with, Kim? To say, are women ready to lead the ANC? Like you've said, Papana, women have been leading from since the beginning of the ANC. But just from the results, your views, Kim, from what we saw.
I think it is a bit disturbing, and in fact I find the entire discussion, the topic for tonight's debate, quite, it's necessary, but I find it quite problematic. Perhaps rather than asking whether we are ready for a female president, we should actually be asking whether we think it is politically prudent and responsible to allow men to continue to charter and steer us socially, politically and economically. And if we look at the three candidates, the three female candidates, I think they're amongst the strongest of the candidates that we have to choose between in this race. They are all exceptional candidates in their own rights and exceptional leaders. And perhaps the question tonight should be more about why there are no more women in this race, and why hasn't there been a female leader before? And I ask this for two reasons. First of all, if we look at the liberation struggle in this country, at the forefront of the struggle has been women. Secondly, if we look at the ANC policy framework, it is rich and abundant with commitments to women liberation, women advancement, and women leadership. And yet what we find is that in the structures of the ANC and in other political parties in this country, women tend to be the deputies. They're deputized secretaries.
Socially acceptable, so to speak.
And I think your guest is correct by saying that we don't have a precedent for this. We haven't had a history of female leaderships where we should have. And I think across all structures and depths of the ANC, we should have leadership. We should have young female leadership and experienced female leaderships.
And funny you should say that we should have more female candidates, actually, with others saying this is the one time that we've seen the ANC actually have more female candidates coming up and saying, look, we're ready to take this position. But let's just take a closer look at each province's figures. There are some disparities. They're very interesting ones. If you take a look at Mangaung, that's in Mpumalanga, 20% saying yes, 80%, resounding 80% saying no, we are not ready for female presidents. We do know that, of course, this is a place perhaps that is more popular with a certain faction, perhaps the Cyril Ramaphosa faction. We have the PE, the Eastern Cape, 31% saying yes, 69% saying no. What do you read from these disparities that we see from the provinces, Babana?
Look, I think we can look at the issue of a female president from an objective or subjective perspective. The subjective perspective would be that after so many centuries, we are not in a space to be questioning whether women should be leading. But the reality is that, in fact, globally, the issue of women leadership has been problematic. And if you take it to our country, South Africa or the ANC itself, it's a product of a dysfunctional system. The ANC itself, it inherited patriarchy. Now, if you were to dissect the states in Mangaung and in the Eastern Cape, I would not necessarily be surprised. But we should take into confidence that members of the ANC are highly disciplined. Despite the stats which might be coming out, many have been saying that it is high time for socio-economic transformation. And if you look at, or if you start saying or looking at these candidates, then you'd have to start saying who amongst these leaders are advocating the changes that the people are actually talking about.
Yeah. But looking forward, Papano, do you think this is an indication of how each province is likely to vote in December, just looking at these results?
Not really. In fact, I totally disagree. If you look at the first state in totality, for example, they have been very adamant that it is now time for radical economic transformation. So, the stats, I don't think they reflect reality. Eastern Cape as well. Eastern Cape is one of the poorest provinces in the country. Many people are saying that it is high time for change. So it might be that the question, I'm not sure what were the questions which were posed, but the reality is that South Africans are tired. ANC members are tired.
Well, it was a very simple question. It was just the one question, whether ANC is ready for a female president, just straight as it is. And the Eastern Cape you've just mentioned actually said 31% were saying no. Yes, actually we're ready, and 69% were just not ready for that. Kim, should we read into this poll surveys, the results from the different provinces going into the elective conference in December?
Well, I think, as you said at the beginning, it's a dipstick. It's not a comprehensive poll, so I think let's bear that in mind. I think what it does show, sadly, though, is that the policy framework of the NC has not been universally applied and understood nationally, perhaps. So we see President Zuma championing women, and he's done this tangibly, because if you look at the cabinet appointments, he has prioritized women. But I think that sentiment, which is based on a policy framework of empowerment for women in the NC, isn't translating into some of the provinces. However, what I did hear from the provincial analyses today, which struck me with great interest, is a desire for radical economic transformation. In fact, that message resonated more strongly than anything else. So I think that if there is a female candidate that will deliver radical economic transformation, I think that we're going to see the bulk of people getting behind her.
Yeah. Let's just take a look at, I like how you've steered the conversation into the actual candidates and just taking a look at what they stand for. I mean, we have seen them turn on their charm offensive, you know, trying to woo members from the different branches with everything that they stand for. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, her CV is very out there, it's very open, you know, coming from the AU chairperson, having served in the cabinet, Lindiwe Sisulu also being a minister, Baleka Mbete having served as a deputy president as well. What are their chances? Who's likely to fall back as this race continues, Papana?
Well, look, there are a couple of months left before the conference itself. And by the looks of things and the pronouncements from various regions and, you know, your PECs, the likelihood is that the contestation in December is going to be between Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa. And it might be because when ANC members look at the candidates or the message from the candidates, one candidate who is very succinct and very clear in terms of what she stands for, it has been Nkosazana Zuma. She has been adamant that land redistribution is important. She's also been speaking about changing the patterns of ownership of the economy. She's also highlighted issues of skills relating to young people, to say that you cannot drive the economy if young people who are in a majority are unemployed and unemployable. But over and above that, she's spoken about issues of education, to say that you cannot continue having an education system where the curriculum is produced by white people in particular. You cannot speak of transformation when consciousness of, you know, your ordinary citizens has not changed. But also, if the education system itself is not actually curtailed to actually deal with the economic challenges that we face. But in terms of the other candidates, it's not clear what they actually stand for. For example,
let's get a chance from Kim as we're running out of time, just to pick your brain as well. Kim, is this a clear race for Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma with regards to the other female candidates, or is that an arrogant way of looking at things?
No, I think you're quite right that the two candidates haven't been very clear about what they stand for. I've been quite critical before of Lindiwe Sisulu's campaign because I think we know what she doesn't stand for, but we don't know what she stands for. And I've said, I made a prediction on the show last week that I think Baleka Mbete will pull out of the race. So let's see if I'm worth my salt.
We'll pull out of the race.
Yes,
as a political Unfortunately, ladies, we have to leave it there. We've run out of time. Of course, we'll have more of these discussions as we have more of these programs. You're at home. Thank you for participating. And of course, joining our Twitter handle at ANN7TV. From myself, Audrey Chimwanda, a huge thank you to our reporters who joined us as well from the different provinces. You have a good evening.